Why people who don't guarantee results should be banned from selling programs. You heard me right. Tom Matson here, a Chief Movement Maker at Entrepreneur Empowerment Institute, with another myth-shattering piece of content for you to consider today as you are going about your business. And this is a big one. This is one that's been probably responsible for more gross revenue and more profit for me than any single strategy that I know. And I didn't create it. I learned it from my mentor, Jay Abraham. Jay is a brilliant marketer. If you're not familiar with him, you should definitely check him out and learn from his process. He calls it strategic risk reversal. Strategic risk reversal. And before I get into that, though, let me tell you a story of how I learned it first myself. I was a young lad of 23. I was working for Dale Carnegie Training in Calgary, Alberta, and I was an assistant instructor, what they called a graduate assistant at the time. And I also sold courses for Dale Carnegie, and people would come to me all the time and ask me for advice. And I was 23 and a guy, so I always had an answer. Or as my first wife said, often wrong, but never in doubt. And I would give people advice. And after doing this for several months, I realized, I ought to actually take some training before I keep giving all this business advice, because I didn't have any training. So I started taking courses and seminars and programs on business. And I got hooked. I absolutely loved it. I immersed in it. And then I started spending thousands and thousands. And now I've literally spent more than $1 million in personal and professional development in the last 40 years or so. Yeah, I'm an old codger before Google. So along that way, I took a course on the Yellow Pages and Yellow Page marketing back when they still existed. For you kids out there, that's when they made these great big books that mimicked the internet, and they had all the businesses in your local city in one book. Now they're pretty much doorstops, but they're called the Yellow Pages. And I'd taken a course by the top Yellow Page trainer in the world who lived in Australia. He came to Calgary, where I lived at the time, and I remember taking the class. And I had a client presentation early the next week who happened to be in the locksmith business. When you need to get your locks changed, that's the business he was in. And it turned out for this weekend seminar, the example he followed all the way through his training was a locksmith. And so I knew I could help this guy because I had the best trainer in the world, and he gave me the best strategies, and they were all for a locksmith, and he taught it to how we could apply it to other businesses. But the locksmith was his case study example. So I knew I could help him, but I still didn't know how to price my services back then. I didn't know, there are 9 pricing models. Back then, I only knew what I wanted to charge. And so I thought about it. I went, okay, this guy, I lived in Calgary, and this guy was an older gentleman, probably twice my age, and I knew he was going to negotiate. And in my mind's eye, he's an Albertan. He was a Texan. Calgary happens to have more Texans living in it than any place outside of America because of the oil and gas industry. So I don't know if he was Texan, but in my memory, I have this vision of him being a Texan. So I knew he was going to be a salty old type of guy, and I knew he was going to negotiate. So I thought, okay, I want to get this amount of money. So I'm going to ask for this amount of money. I doubled the price I wanted. And I put together the proposal. Back then it was by electric typewriter, and I put it all together and typed it all out and had it all ready. And I went to his office and I presented everything. And he goes, "Son, you think it's going to work?" I go, yes, sir, absolutely. I'm positive, sure, I'm sure it will. He says, "Tell you what, I'll pay you double if it does and nothing if it don't." Now, this was double my double. This was double my double. This was 4 times what I wanted, and I knew it would work. I go, "Yes, sir, you have a deal." We shook hands on it. As timing would have it, the Yellow Pages was coming out in a couple of months. I got the ads ready, put it out. 3 months later, I get a phone call from him. He said, "Tom, come on down to my office. Need to speak to you, son." I was like, uh-oh, what happened? I hadn't heard a word from him. In fact, frankly, I had totally forgotten. And so I come down to his office. I go in there and I make sure I had my good suit on, and I sat down, and he goes, "I got a check for you, son. Come and get it." And he was so happy. He was literally giddy with happiness. And I learned a very powerful lesson that it was reinforced by my mentor, Jay Abraham, over the years. And that is, if you guarantee results, not only can you make a lot more money, but your clients are a lot happier in the journey. If you're guaranteeing results, you literally can make way more money and they get way happier. So what are the keys to guaranteeing results? Well, the first thing you have to do is come up with the biggest risks your prospects face when doing business with you. In addition to time and money, what are the other risks they face in working with you? The old adage about IBM, locally competitors called them inferior but marketable, but they were IBM. No one ever got fired for hiring IBM. Hiring Joe's Computer Service could actually get you fired. So maybe the risk is they'll get fired if they don't get results from you, right? Or maybe they'll get divorced, right? The number one cause of divorce, I believe, is entrepreneurship gone wrong, right? So maybe they'll get divorced. There are all kinds of factors. Identify all of them and look at the biggest risks that prospects face when working with you, number one. Number two, create the boldest possible guarantee you can create. I remember when I was first teaching this early in my business career, we had a realtor in the room. She was new to real estate sales, but had been a real estate secretary for years. And in fact, she told me that the reason she got into selling is that she saw all these young guys lying to clients and said, that's not the way to treat them right. I'm going to treat them right, and I'm going to do really well. And she was new and she was doing well. And this was a 2-day workshop, and we started the risk reversal strategy. That's what Jay taught me. You're taking the risk off of your prospect's shoulders and you're putting it on your shoulders, risk reversal. And so I started this first part of this, the biggest, boldest possible guarantee you can create. We did some breakout exercises. Then we finished the day and we were going to do the rest of the training the next morning. Little did I know, she had a listing presentation that night. Kathleen Mongeon was her name. I remember now. She, a great realtor at the time, but young, fairly new into the world of selling. She went and had her presentation, and her biggest, boldest possible guarantee was, let me sell your house and I'll help you buy your new one. And if I can't sell your first house within 95% of the listing price, within 30 days, I'll pay the mortgage on house one because you bought house two with me. I'll pay the mortgage until it sells. Massive. And she just tested the idea. He shook hands on it that night. She did both sides of the transaction, what they call double ending the deal. She made about $60,000 in commissions on that one set of transactions. Yeah, homes in Vancouver are pretty expensive. and it really established the power of a great risk reversal. So find the boldest possible guarantee you can do. Number three, the work. Figure out how to deliver on that bold guarantee. Build in redundancy, build in checks and balances, all kinds of things you can do to do that. Then you want to anurag your plan. Anuragging your plan, I don't have time to teach the whole method, but essentially double the goal. Find 3 ways to hit double the goal. So you're playing for 6 times the target. You'll get way past your original target here. Think back to the last major goal you set. Did you get 18% of the way? Probably. You probably got 20, 25%, maybe even 50%. Most of us don't hit our goals, but if you play anuragging and you double and then play 3 separate strategies, you're playing for 6 times the results you'll get there. And then the last part is link your payments to your clients' results. Link your payments to clients' results. Of course, test and measure this, get it out in the marketplace, talk to live people about it. You will find 9 times as many people will raise their hand to do business with you. You won't close 9 times as much, but 9 times as many will raise their hand to do business with you. You will screen them far better when your payments are linked to results. So you'll do about triple. You'll do about triple the sales, and you'll have a lot more fun, and they'll be so much happier to do business with you. All right, we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.